thank you so very much to Sophia.
Hey.
It's my first show of 2021.
Oh my goodness, thank you for the honor.
And I'm so glad to have you back. Now, just a reminder to everyone out there, Weston is a Renaissance man. He is the creator and director of the AOF MegaFest, which is going to be happening in 2021. Right.
It happened in 2020. Why did people?
Right. Oh, all right. It happened, but not in the way that we're used to. But it's going to be.
We will not be silenced.
Never.
Not by a lie.
Now,
not by a lie.
You are also a writer, director, producer. You are a magic maker. You are one of the few men I know that has like the biggest heart ever. Now, you recently starred in and co-directed a movie, Old King Cole, which I look forward to seeing this year at AOF MegaFest, which I'm very excited
about. You're going to see it before MegaFest. That editor's cutting away right now.
And you had a great team, and yet thank you so much for including me on that. I mean,
what a pleasure to work with you.
Huge heart. And but most recently, you just launched an incredible website, the Modern Armor of God. And
Modern Army of God.
A modern army of God.
And I have to be honest, it's not me. What occurred was I am a marketing guy. I write, produce, direct. I make movies and TV shows. And some people had come to me a while ago and said, hey, we'd like to do something that is out of kindness and out of love. It's not for monetization. It's not for promotion of any one person, but we want to reach people and give them a platform. And so I was sitting down, believe it or not, and I had a concept that came to me. I believe it was divinely inspired. The name came to me like a dream, Modern Army of God. And it was about prayer. And I truly believe that we're being marginalized now. If you look at a lot of the social media platforms, people are being completely censored and reduced and canceled. And I often wonder about a person who would deign to take someone else's voice by force. And not by their own effort of force, meaning that one-on-one, they went to someone and said, I'm going to take your voice, but they do it as cowards in groups. And all that we need is someone to say, yeah, I don't subscribe to that. And as soon as you see that, it stops. Bullies are like ghosts wrapped in soot. As soon as you turn a light on, and the morning dew hits them, they're not there anymore. But in the middle of the night, they look dark and scary and ominous. But they're not. You know, they're imitators. They're just so. We wanted to do something that could come straight out of prayer, that can empower everyone to share someone else's prayer. Because the funny thing is, the Lord says, where two or more are gathered in my name, I will be in their midst. If you go to this site and click on a prayer that someone's saying, you are now praying with them. You are re-energizing that prayer up into heaven one more time each time you click. So my dream is to have 1 million people operating at the same time, sharing and giving prayers and hoping the best and loving on people from a distance around the world, without the hate, without the judgment, without the censoring, without the negativity. You know, and so this platform was born, and we're actually soft testing it this week. And I'm looking for people to come out and say why it's bad or wrong, so I can correct it and refine it and make it better. So I love it when someone comes out and says, you suck. Listen, my first ex-wife told me I sucked. I believed her.
Well, that's why she's an ex-wife, right?
Well, still very beautiful, still very charming, and still very alluring, just not for me.
Right.
That being said, I don't hold any ill feelings. What I hold is the great opportunity that came from the experience to love deeper and better the next time. And so I think with this site, every day we have to make a decision. How will you act today? Will you go out to someone you don't even know and begin cursing them and swearing against them and blaspheming and casting false aspersions about their character, who they are, what they're doing, without knowing anything? Because now you're identifying yourself as what I think Shakespeare referred to sound and fury, with zero meaning. I think that it was further cleared up by Archie Bunker, who referred to people like that as farts in a storm. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
I like that. We have a lot of that right now, don't we?
A lot of people with gas right now, no question. But they're beautiful too. God bless them, because you know, just because someone's not at the same place of everyone's journey, like someone criticized me recently and said, you think you're a man of Christ. I'm like, hold on a second, slow, slow, slow. First of all, I don't know how you know what I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly don't want to go into your head because, oh my God, what a mess it must be up there. But I am not a man of anything. I am humbled to the point that Jesus would even look at me and say, I give this guy a shot. And that shot happens every day when the sun comes up or when the sun goes down and I can pray. All I'm asking for is an opportunity to know him deeper. I'm not saying I'm anything. I've made movies. I do action films. I've been in fights. I've been married. I've got kids. I've been through life, you know, trouble, business, lawsuits. I've been through everything. And I'm glad for every single experience because it's refined me into a different individual than I would have been had those things not occurred. So I like it when someone says there's a chink in your armor. Show it to me so I can clean it up and fix it. I'm fine with that. You don't correct me out of hatred and think I'm not going to make it something that's beautiful.
And it doesn't stop you because you are constantly creating something new.
I don't think it's me. I don't think it's me. I think there's something going on and that I've opened myself to a process, and that process is love. And even though I fail, like everybody else, my partner always tells me, he says, you know, we're all pieces of garbage. We each put our pant leg on one at a time. No one wakes up and jumps into their suit, right? There's no hero. So we're all struggling. I think that the beauty of people that are more refined than people who are not more refined is that they understand it's a process. And so you don't judge people. I mean, yeah, people do stupid things sometimes and they do angry things and bitter things. Okay, listen, they're going to be punished. I'll tell you a quick story because it's such a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. I did a film last year called Dandelion Season. Mm-hmm. And on that film, there was this character floating around the set, kind of an interesting guy. You know, he's just another person. Mm-hmm. But he had a fascination with having authority. And he kept coming to me, telling me about it. I want to be this. I'm like, man, I think they hired you as a performer. Why don't you just do that and be happy? Here's your money. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't enough. And so he went on a vicious attack on me, vicious attack on Twitter. I mean, or Instagram, just going, man. And so I don't usually say anything because, again, I'm looking to see where he's right so I can fix it. But he wasn't right. So I made a couple of comments and I didn't say a word. And this is going on about a year ago. This morning, I opened my email and I see a letter from another production. And I'm paraphrasing here because I don't want to give up people's names. It's not necessary. They're going to be outed soon enough. And it turns out this character sexually harassed around 40 different women, and they're all coming out against him. Now, they approached him on social media first, and you know what he said instead of "I'm sorry"? He told them they were stupid. Now, I went and got a bag of popcorn. I don't feel good about it, and I'm not happy about it, but it's funny how people who are constantly on the attack, mm-hmm. constantly full of hate, constantly judging others, mm-hmm. you know, I don't claim to be anything. That's the beauty of me. Let me tell you something. I've been in some rough situations. Mm-hmm. Hey, Sally, 1994 was a rough year for me. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I've always wanted to apologize to you. Now's my chance. But I've been in some rough situations. Oh, man, that was bad. But I've been in some rough situations, but I can always look back and say, I did my best. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was stupid. I'll try better next time. I don't have anything else to other to offer, and I don't ask for anything else. I just don't. That's why people who hate my guts can smile at me and, hey, Del, how you doing, bro? Every year when the festival comes up, and I don't hear from them through the year, just once a year, can I get a free fee waiver? Can I get this? Can I get that? I'm like, yeah, sure, here you go. Here. Because I don't change in that regard. Right. So I'm happy, you know, and people with hatred and all that silliness, you know, there's a if you let them go, they're gonna find their own snare, man.
Right,
they do. You know,
right.
I don't wish anything bad on anybody, but I actually felt bad for the guy when I saw the emails because I went and did a little research and I was like, oh my God, they want his head. They want his head.
Wow. Well,
and it reminds me of what happened a year ago. He wanted my head. He just couldn't get it. And now where I had one attacker, he's got 40, maybe 50, maybe 100. We're going to find out over the next few weeks. I'm like, oh my God. So our friend with the personal attacks, I really do pray for him. I'm going to have 3 or 4 people pray for her with me tomorrow. I hope she gets some love in her heart.
I hope so too. So one thing I really like about your site is you're giving your audience members an opportunity to record their own prayer and submit it to you.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Because you think about it for a second, there are so many people sitting at home, they have no connection, and they don't know that they're loved. So the first prayer that came in, you know, I just told them, I said, listen, we're doing a soft open, and someone sent a prayer that I did not expect. I got to tell you, I sat at my desk, and I was just crying my heart out. Because I realized for a second that prayer is probably going to be seen by tons and tons of people as we build and ramp up and create this thing in a way that's going to be really powerful. And just giving someone the opportunity to say, hey, God, I'm over here and I don't need anything, but I love you. Yeah. Oh my God.
Right.
How empowering, how powerful, you know.
That's so beautiful.
Put your mask on. Don't go over here. Don't go to work. All these restrictions reducing you down to zero. Well, there's one place that you're never going to be zero. There's one place you're always going to be enough. There's one place you're always going to be loved, and you can love. And it's not at the city hall. I guarantee you that. So I'm thrilled about it. Anyway, the site's called Modern Army of God, modernarmyofgod.com. I hope people will go and check it out. And if they're so inclined to leave a prayer, or just share a prayer with someone else or make a comment, we'd love to see it and hear it. It's just a beautiful thing.
Anyone can submit. I mean,
anyone. And again, it's not about politics.
Right.
There's no sign up. We don't want your personal information. I don't want to know where you live. You know, you can submit the prayer anonymously. I don't care. Right. Just keep it above board. Let's not go crazy. There's no one praying to Molech or Baal or Satan. You know, that's not something that, and that's one reason why when we structured, I had to go to an attorney. I said, listen, this is very quick for me, but what are the pitfalls? He says, well, you know, if you go in as a charity, there's an opportunity that someone may be able to sue you and say, well, they're a charity and they have these rules and regulations and they have to accept our prayer too. But if you're a private company, I don't know, maybe like Twitter, you know, you can enforce your own terms of service and allow what you want and say no to what you don't. And it's a very funny thing that they did because they just gave so many people freedom. They don't realize, they thought they were constraining people, but they were giving people freedom to understand what's really going on. And enlightenment and knowledge are key to the development and the refinement of your character and your spirit.
Exactly.
If you're going to stay ignorant, well, there's not much anyone can do for you.
Right.
You know, go drink another 40 and light that joint. God, not that I have anything against that. I don't have anything against anybody smoking marijuana or having a recreational drink. God bless you. That's a good thing too, if that's for you. But, you know, no one's counting your hand when it's raised. Trust me.
Well, I think that's wonderful. You're giving an opportunity to people to really, you know, share their prayer with more than just themselves. Because I know a lot of people have a hard time even just talking about God. You know, it's like some people actually seem afraid to pray. You know,
do you know why? Do you know why? They're afraid they won't be answered. That's all it is. They're just afraid that he will not hear them because they've been such a piece of garbage. I mean, and if you understand that he wants you in that state to recognize that so he can see, this is funny. Usually you and I be talking about movies and TV and festivals, but there's something that happened for me a few months ago, and it was actually a very beautiful thing. And someone brought the experience to me. And I sat there and I said, well, how do I say thank you? And then like this opportunity came along and people said, hey, we want to do something big. And I'm like, well, what's big to you? And I said, well, changing lives. And I said, it's not about money. And they said, no. I said, well, okay, well, let's get it started. So I went back with the proposal. I showed them, I said, let's go. And we put it up and it was launched. And like I say, we're in soft launch right now. We're just checking to see how traffic flows, communication, how fast we can get the prayers up, that type of thing. Right. And now we're working on doing the prayers in foreign languages, and we're going to be initiating a thing. We're going to be inviting different countries, different groups from countries to add their prayers. But I didn't want to do it all at once, whether it be a million, because people are like, there's going to be 1 million people here. I'm like, well, God bless them. You know, if 10 people show, that's enough for me, honestly. A lot more than 10 have already shown up, so that's cool. But this is his. It's not mine. I'm a little cog in a big wheel, and I get that. And I'm thrilled to have that position, man.
Well, I think it's wonderful. And I really think now is the time that's needed. You know, it's like people really need to step more into that light, into the light, you know, and whether you know, he's God or goddess or universe or source, it's that connection with a higher being. And I just think it's so wonderful that you're bringing so many different people together to really.
Well, see, I tell you again, I don't see it as me. I think I was asked to just put the framework up, and now I'm going to watch and see how it grows. I mean, his hand is in this thing. It's very little to do with me. Right. You know, hey, Sally, I know you said I was never going to amount to anything. You hated me, but
she loves you.
You're only half right. You're only half right.
She loves you now.
I think she does. I think she
loves you now. It's like, well, you do so much. Okay, so now you have this site going.
Yeah.
What's next? What's next up for you?
Well, we just finished principal photography, and we're in post-production on the film Old King Cole, in which you star. I'm glad to stay. You are now my movie wife, and that is a
We
very
do work well together.
that is a very short list, and I will have you know that in Old King Cole 2, you have a much bigger role because a lot of it is told in flashback as to how he became what he became in the second film. Because if you look at the movie, it really is about these two women in his life, and both, I mean, neither one is there by his choice. They're both there by his necessity and by his need to be made more human, because he's lost his humanity. And so I think that understanding how he lost his humanity through the destruction of his wife is a very—
You wrote some very juicy scenes. I mean, you wrote a great script, and
you know what it is? That
wow.
comes from listening to conversations. I worked in nightclubs for 30 years, and I did private security, and I did bodyguarding. I'll tell you a story. I was working on Rocky V. A lot of people don't know it, but there was a cat named Dub on the set. He was assistant director, and one day they decided to have a water gun fight, and this guy made the mistake of squirting Stallone in the face with a water gun. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong. He thought they were playing, I'm sure. Well, the next day, he was surrounded by 4 or 5 bodyguards of Stallone, who wanted him to go over and apologize, and then they were going to let him go. So that I found to be very interesting, but I didn't find the second day's events to be interesting. I found the day of events, meaning that everything that happened afterward, right? And so I positioned myself everywhere this guy went without saying a word. We were in a huge set. And everywhere he went, I was shit, because I wanted to hear how people treat someone when they're down. I wanted to know, what is the treatment of someone who's been pushed to the outside through no fault of their own? Because it's like mothers, right? When they meet this guy and they think he's the greatest thing in the world, and he's just amazing. And he's not, or vice versa. You meet and she's amazing, and she's just not. The thing that happens when the loving person, or the one who loves most, is rejected, is everything to me. And I hear it in conversations, I'd hear it in bars, I'd hear it in nightclubs, and I would just listen to people's stories. I just sit there and just listen, and so you hear it, and that allows you to understand dialogue and to understand storytelling by way of human condition. It's very important.
Yeah, that's so key. That word, listen. I mean, if more people listen to each other, things would be so much smoother.
Well, you can't be an expert if you're listening. You can only be an expert if you're yelling at someone, or talking them down. Then you're an expert. See, it's someone. If someone, like I saw a post that you said that someone who was a non-parent was attacking you about being a parent, and that is what I'm talking about exactly.
Yeah.
How in the world would you have the experience to become an expert in something you've never experienced?
Right. Exactly.
How?
And that's why you meet so many different types of people, pretty much from all over the world, and you really take the time to listen, to try to understand them, what the situation is, and you just absorb so much. And this movie is going to be amazing. Old King Cole, you have incredible talent.
It is. It's an incredible cast. D.A. Jackson was fantastic as the DP, and he also was much more than that. I came and began to tell you, it's the first movie I've ever been on that was DP'd by a minister. And yes, it's rough subject matter, and yes, there's sexuality and language and violence, but someone says, you're disgusting. I saw that movie. It was a scene that you did trick, and there's a love scene on Las Vegas Boulevard. Yada, bang, bang, you're disgusting. And I'm like, How do you justify? I said, well, first of all, I never justify anything. I always wonder why the attacker wants me to justify their argument against me. I've always thought that was amazing. That people go, wait. I don't tell any story or shoot any film with elements that you won't find in the Bible. Period. Yeah. If there's murder in the Bible, I'll show it in a movie. If there's sexuality in the Bible, I'll show it in a movie. If there's betrayal in the Bible, I'll show it in the movie. What I will not do is take the human spirit and crush it and destroy it in a horror film or in some gonzo porn film to make money. That is where I see the sin coming in. The human condition is one of the highs and the lows of the greatest magnitude. And anytime you can shine a light on that, and people can, there's a film right now called I'm Your Woman on Amazon. I'm Your Woman. It's like a 70s throwback crime film. And it's told from the perspectives of the women who love gangsters. So somehow I like the movie. The girl's performance is fine, but they missed somewhere. And I'm looking at it. I still like the movie. I'm gonna watch the movie again, but it left you wanting something else. But I thought about the human condition because there's a stolen child in the film. I won't give any secrets away, but there's a stolen child in the film. And I could not help but thinking throughout the entire film that we will never know what this child's life was supposed to be because you stole it.
Wow.
And they never clear that up. They never clear it up. So when you take, I equate it to this. Mm-hmm. If I come to your page or to your movie set or to your art show or to your book or to your movie or to whatever event, and I want to cancel you because my understanding is not great enough to share your experience, right, there's something wrong with me. And I think that we all have to be refined past that point. That's why I don't leave negative reviews anymore. And I know someone got a little upset with my language recently. I had been getting these friend requests from all, I'm like, these people don't know me. Why am I getting, so I began looking at the friend requests and I did a test. So I accepted 10 of the friend requests and I went back to those people's sites for about a week and I watched all their comments.
Right.
Those 10 people, 8 of them had the most vicious, nasty, mean stuff to say about one side of a political party. I mean, right down to calling them insurrectionists and treasonous and all these horrible words that they probably don't even understand.
Right.
And I thought, hang on a second, why would they friend me? Then I realized, oh, they just want to send their messages out to the people that I know. Mm. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. When you hate, okay, hate is unchecked. And if you focus for your hate, you're good. You're wonderful. And for the last 4 years, people have had a person to hate, okay? Yeah. Well, now that person, it seems to be out of the picture or leaving, quite possibly. We'll see if that's the case or not. But it seems to be that way. Their hate has no place now. So they have to move the hate to other people. Right. But you're never going to find a target as big as that. So they have to hate a lot of people to make up for the volume of hatred. No, I'm serious. And so they have to stretch further and further and further to hate. Well, that's an amazing thing, man. I'm writing about that. I think it's an amazing thing.
Well, do you think this hate could ever transmute into love or something?
Well, I think that I think hate honestly is the beginning of love. I truly believe. I think hate is the absolute smallest inkling and beginning of love. You know,
just being on that journey, you have to,
because there's already an attraction to it, or you wouldn't be able to have that passion to hate. So you have to say there's already an attraction. That's why you see so many. Like I noticed, there's a great story in the press this week about the Lincoln Project, and there's a cat on the Lincoln Project named Larry Weaver, and he hates the Republicans. He hates every Republican that's out there. He curses. He wants to go back and reestablish the history of America through these stories that he's telling, but he has a chink in his armor and he never addressed it. So about a week ago, a reporter came out and said, listen, on Twitter, he said, listen, this man was grooming me as a sexual predator. And if anyone else has ever experienced this, please let me know. His name is Larry Weaver, is the guy who was doing it. Well, 40 people came out roughly over the next week.
All young men, right?
As I said before, evil is just smoke covered in soot. This guy was removed from the website. He's been kicked off the project. And now the project is going to be losing funding across the board because no one wants to be associated with the lawsuits that are coming.
Right.
So again, if you punch evil in the nose, it's just smoke covered in soot. It is not a real thing. It's just, it's an apoplectic cry into the wind to hate someone else that's not like you or does not share your vision of what should be. So God bless them all, you know.
Right, well, and that's just the thing. We're all so unique. We're all so awesome in our own individual selves. And we try so hard not to embrace that or explore that or even nurture that.
Well, I saw a test this week on for kids in 3rd grade in California where it says you have to define who you are. And I thought to myself for a second, What child in third grade understands what they are? I remember in college and far 20 years after college, still not understanding who and what I am. And
Right.
I think many people have that same question. What is my purpose?
Right.
And how do you tell a 3-year-old unless you're going to mold what you want them to believe they are? Oh, no,
Exactly.
you're not that, honey. You're this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Talk about
Yeah.
grand theft and larceny. It's the
Yeah.
theft of the human spirit, the theft of that child's mind, and you did it. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to absorb that karma. That's
No.
going to be a hard candy bar, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
a
Well,
hard candy
it
bar.
it really does feel like so many things are changing, though. I mean, regardless what happens, which I feel is gonna be a lot, but I feel like there's no going back.
Well,
Yeah.
the world, I hate talking about current events because current events are only current for about 10 seconds now.
Right. It's constantly changing. Yeah.
The news cycle has found its way into almost obscurity. And now that I notice that you can't get any news anymore, they blacked so many things out through censorship. And again, it makes me wonder,
Mhm.
who is the person that hates themselves and God so much that they would destroy everyone by stealing from them? Because it's theft.
Yeah.
If you take someone's experience without their permission, it's theft.
Hmm.
You can't do that. On a grand scale, are you crazy? Come
No.
on now.
Well, everything's changing, everything, and there is no going back.
Everything is being uncovered. A little bit different.
Yeah.
Change is one thing, but awakening, that's a whole different thing.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, is the labor pains before the birth of that beautiful child. And right now, we're having the birthing pains.
And we're hearing a lot of screaming.
Oh, we're hearing a lot of screaming, man, and a lot of nervousness, and fathers running down the hall shaking, and what am I gonna do? A lot of lot of misinformation out there, and a lot of
Right.
people who I sadly
Yeah.
believe don't understand that they're in a
Right.
system, and
Right.
they are the pawn of the system, not the leader of the system.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
sad thing when you don't recognize where you are. That's why I'm saying I'm a nothing, man. I'm cool in my position.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to influence anybody to do anything. I don't want anybody to take any action on my words except to pray. Humble yourself and pray.
Mhm.
That's it.
Well, pray.
You killed 14 dogs yesterday. Do me a favor. Only kill 9 today. Okay. If
Yeah.
you rob 6 old ladies a day, do me a favor. Just do maybe 2 tonight. Okay. And then tomorrow just 1. Then maybe the next day none. Right. Just
Yeah.
try to keep incrementally getting better.
Right.
Because it's when you awaken to what you've been or what you've been doing, you have an opportunity to be clean again. I mean, to really just go, okay. And some people, I had a friend of mine said, I ran a background check on you. I said, told me a year later. And I said, you did what? I ran a background check. I said, well, I hope you found some juicy stuff. And I didn't find anything. I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I wish I'd done some more bad things for you to be excited about. I don't know.
That's so great. Well, yeah, I think one of the biggest blessings we have is that every day we have the opportunity to change. I mean, to
Every day.
evolve, to do something different, and have that choice to do something different.
Or the choice just not to pollute the world
Right.
with your hatred. What do you get out of it? Think about the drama that must be in someone's mind that goes to a post, which is the easiest way to do it, and to attack someone. Because someone had came out and said, I noticed you used the word a-hole in one of your posts. And I said, well, let me explain why I did that. When all these people come to you and they're spreading all this hate via your portal, your page,
Right.
because you've deigned to friend them without ever having any experience of them whatsoever. You don't know their character, where they're from, but you just trust.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem was that I had enough, and I said, hey, I didn't unfriend you because I don't respect your opinion. I unfriended you because you're an a-hole. So that was probably my most liked post in the last 2 or 3 months. But it's not about the profanity that was included. I had to speak to them on terms they would understand, because if I'd written, I didn't unfriend you because of your opinion, I unfriended you because you are human and you're challenged in the department of being a human being, they would have not understood. They still would have come back. So by using that term, that colloquial term that is so, in my mind, underused in this today's state, I made sure that they understood clearly. And I think that people respond to that. So I apologize for the vulgarity, But at the same time, I would use it again because now you know exactly what your label says because I gave it to you. There's your label. Now go fix it. Rip it off. Do different.
Right.
And or do what you're doing, but just don't do it around me.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You know, I like to take care of people. I don't want to be standing here being judged with you because you're miserable because someone didn't love you when you were 7. That's not my fault. You know what it is. I mean, listen, I look people up, and I don't mean I just look up. I like to look in their faces.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these people spread hate. They are probably some of the least attractive people. Not beautiful, meaning, but attractive on the scale of humanity.
Right.
Because you can look at a 90-year-old woman from Peru with no teeth, but if you look in her eyes, there's honesty, truth, love, and compassion, and that's all you need. You don't judge the other stuff. And then you see people who are walking around with, bling on their teeth and plastic surgery and 57 different type of hair weaves, and you go, that's a beautiful person. That's not a beautiful person. That's their representative. Wait till they go home at night and then start talking the way they speak. You'll find out that's a beautiful person or not. So they're a little bit different. I don't know anything.
Well, all right. One thing that I wanted to talk with you too. You have this, I don't know, foundation. Is that the right word?
The gifted group.
Right. And I think that's so awesome.
It's, you know what it is right now? It's quiet right now.
Well, quiet. Yeah. Because of.
It's very quiet. Right now. No, not because of that. I'm still doing it. A few years ago, people began bringing their kids and their teens to me.
Right.
Because I was teaching, a lot of people don't understand it, but I was asked to take over teaching in a gang-infested area of Pasadena, martial arts to young kids, groups of kids between Hispanic and then very poor Black and white kids. And this is 30 years ago. And so the first day I went in, I don't know anything. I just know, I'm going to teach these kids. And when I walked in, they were used to one particular teacher. So when they saw me come in, they were like, who's this guy? There's about 60 or 70 kids. So I'm standing there, they don't know me, and half of them don't speak English. And so I walk up and I say, attention, and they all stand at attention. And I walked by and I shook hands with each one of them and I looked them in the eyes. And I said, thank you for being here. So after that first class, the class grew the second week. They're like, this is weird. Who is this guy? So I said something to the little girl and she says, sir, I can't hear you. The music's too loud. And I didn't even realize there were some gangbangers out by the side of the building, and they'd parked their cars by the door where the kids come in and leave to intimidate them. And I didn't even recognize that because I would come into a different entrance.
Right.
So without thinking about it, I went outside and I started yelling at the gang. I mean, yelling. And I'm like, you going to pull that radio? There's about 15 of them. And I'm like, you going to pull that radio out of the car and beat you with it? Come on, let's go. And I went to their car and they're like, oh. And they all got in their cars and left. And people are like, who is this guy? Well, it wasn't me. That's the spirit that's in me. It has nothing to do with me. Right. I'm fine the way I am. Well, I taught it and it got to be very, very good. And I was very good with the kids. And I learned something in that those children were so afraid to walk in that door because they were told, you cannot learn to defend yourself. We'll teach you. The gang will teach you. Ooh. And it just took one moment of stupidity, I guess is what it was. But I was so outraged that they wanted to destroy and steal from these kids before the kids had a chance to know what they had. Yeah. So it was a strange experience. So I look at things now and I say, well, it's not really me. And I'll be honest with you, it's not. I feel like I'm inspired for certain things, to do certain things and have certain positions. And I take them and then I research them, then I move on with life. But I try and do it in a way that's respectful and kind. But there are moments when the humanity needs to come out and you need to tell somebody that's wrong. And if you need to, to address it on a more serious level, then you do that. But usually words are good enough. So, we just keep pushing and we keep trying and we don't quit. So years ago after that happened, some people began bringing their kids to me and saying, hey, could you train this? Or they're having trouble with this. And a lot of times it was sports kids. And so then they got to be adults. And there was a great young lady named Rachel Scott. And she's on ABC News now. But her father brought her in and said, hey, she wants to be a newscaster. She came by way of another young person I was working with named Alexandria Rousset, who's a model. And they brought her to me when she was 14, I think. And then through the AOF festival, she actually got management. She got commercial gigs. It was Deborah Carr Unger's manager who came to the festival one year who took her on as her manager.
Oh, wow.
That's how, so what occurred was people were saying, hey, we're really helping these people. So what we were doing was donating time, money, expertise, and experience, bringing them to the AOF, letting them train on camera technique, letting them do interviews, cutting them, all these things, taking pictures, photo shoots, training on camera dialogue, all these, putting them in movies. And so we were doing it for free. And so recently someone said, hey, why don't you just go ahead and put together a charity? We'd like to help you.
Nice.
I'm like, well, listen, don't help me, okay? Don't help me, help them.
Right.
Just don't leave me out of it.
Mm.
This is a conduit by which you can go directly to them. I'm not even a middleman. I'm just gonna help where I help. So we phrased it as the gifted group, and we've now structured it. It probably won't launch as an official thing for the next year or so, but we had to get the paperwork in order and register this and register that and blah, 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 because it's just necessary. But we're a 501c3 charity, and we do everything the right way. And again, we won't start fundraising for another year or so because COVID pushed us back a year. But that's just a mentorship program we do. And right now we're doing it with people, and we never will stop. It's just what it is. You got to give back.
That's awesome. And the more you give, the more it comes back to you. It's like the universe just works that way. You put it out, and it's like it just.
Well, I'm not gonna back that comment up or reject it, but I will tell you this. Last night, I went and got a burrito, and they gave me 2 extra sauces, and I was really happy. So I was thinking maybe that was the little things.
Right? The little things add up.
I see these guys in Vegas, I'm in Vegas, and I see these guys floating around in Lamborghinis and stuff, and I'm looking at them, and I watch one guy, and he came into a Starbucks in a Lamborghini. And I looked at him for a second, and I'm looking, and I'm saying, I want to understand what makes you drive a Lamborghini to Starbucks. Because I had a friend who used to drive only Rolls Royce, Cornicia's Silver Shadows. And one day we were at a racetrack and he wrecked his car. He just drove his car in the back of someone else at like 3 miles an hour. And it was like $30,000 to have the front fender of this Rolls Royce. And I said, can I ask you a question? He's like, yeah. I said, why would you bring a Rolls Royce to a full parking lot? And he didn't have an answer. So I knew what it was. It was I just want to look, like I'm successful. And
everyone learns differently.
I mean, I don't know what half the rappers do driving Lamborghinis and where are you going, man? The guy to buy a pound of weed? Really? You need a Lamborghini for that?
That's the only car they have.
I don't get it. No, it's strange to me.
It is.
It just, I don't know.
But,
why don't we talk about you for a second? Because you've been grilling me.
Well, I have to admit, you're my favorite. You are one of my favorite people, and I'm just.
Thank you for correcting that, because I don't want to be anybody's favorite, because then they're going to miss me when I'm not around, and they'll start calling me. Leave me alone. If you're a friend of mine, leave me alone. That's the best thing you can. Go to the website and say a prayer, or go to thegiftedgroup.org and make a donation for some kids.
What if someone wants to be a mentor? What if someone wants to be a mentor?
No, that's a really good thing. And we've been doing it silently for the last 15 years by attaching people together. In fact, we just finished doing it on a project with this young girl.
Yeah.
I don't want to say her name because I don't want to embarrass her.
Right.
Talking about you, Liz. I met her at a Starbucks drive-through. She's working. I said, what do you do? So, I want to make movies. I said, we're making a movie. Why don't you come join? You met her. In fact, you met her.
Oh, I did.
And and I also got her a gig coming up at the end of the month in LA for a new project that we're doing for the great writer Michael Hogan, who's amazing, great writer. We're producing a short called Breaking and Entering for him. Beautiful movie. Takes place in a morgue, believe it or not. It's a very interesting thing. But I keep trying to attach people to bring them along, and that's just the process. We all should do that without any problem.
Right. That's fantastic. Wow. Well, okay. So if you have mentors, do people reach out to you, or does it just seem to happen?
Sometimes they do, and they'll say, hey, I've got this or I got that. My thing is that the liability is so great now for them and for us that it's more like I recently did a project for a guy, and he says, hey, what's the budget? I mean, I like, listen, dude, I don't want any money from you. I mean, first of all, you can't afford to pay me my rate, so let's not fool around. And I donated it because it doesn't make any sense that he can't get his work done because he just can't afford to pay right now. And we're in a time of a false pandemic wherein people are being locked down for nothing. I just saw yesterday, and I don't want to put a time on your show, so meaning that it doesn't make it important. But when 3 governors come out and say, "Hey, we've been closed too long, let's open up," and they're all in states that had the most egregious lockdowns, it tells you that this is not really real. And for the people who died, I am so sorry for the loss of life for those families. I am so sorry. But I also know that some things were done in a horrible way to hurt people. And they did it for political reasons, and they did it for money, and they did it for enrichment, personal graft and greed. Those things will be brought to the light. I don't have any doubt about that. But those lives cannot be brought back. And I think there has to be some type of payment for that. And that can only happen once we recognize and realize what we've done as a country, and say, you know what, we shouldn't have been so stupid. We could have seen better. We could have done better.
Well,
but hindsight's 2020, right? Hindsight's 2020.
If it wasn't an election, it never would have happened.
You and a lot of people recognize that, but there's still lots of people who want to cling to hatred and. I've just, I've seen it before. I'm a child of the 70s, and so I know what racism, or 60s, so I know what racism looks like, and I've seen it up close and personal. Right up to, we had a neighbor once, and they didn't want us in the neighborhood. So I remember one night I was about maybe 10, a 24-pound rock being thrown through my bedroom window and missing my brother's head by about maybe 6 inches, 7 inches, and they didn't stop. They just kept going. So I'm always acutely in tune with the thought of a bully, because I know what they are and where they come from. And you must stop them in their tracks. And right now we have someone who's willing to fight the bullies. And we just need to find anyone who's showing themselves to be a leader and supporting them. And I'm not for or against anyone. I don't think that any political system in America outweighs the power of God. I don't think he needs our help in cleaning up this situation, but it sure is nice to not get in his way. Maybe that's our job, is to not get in the way.
Exactly.
And I think maybe that's a spot. Let him do his job, man. He's a lot smarter than we'll ever be.
We've already won. God's already won. God's got this. God has got this. And that's what's
it's a battle for 2 perspectives. One wants this and one wants that. And you're never going to find a place in the world where you don't have that. What I think you can find, though, is a place where people can agree that maybe that's too far. Maybe we've gone too far. Maybe we've trafficked too many children. Maybe we've aborted too many babies. Maybe we've burned too many cities over a drug addict who died of a drug overdose. Maybe we don't have to worship evil in the face of BLM through Obu Ifa religion, which is what it is. Which is a demonic religion. Maybe we don't have to embrace that. And I noticed that NXIVM, the NXIVM cult, was identified. No one knew that they were actually tattooing women's bodies and having them slave sex. These were stars. Look at the Brofman sisters, the heirs to the Brofman and Seagram's throne. They're in jail now for trafficking women. There's no need of people with that kind of money. So it wasn't money. It had to be something else. So if we're not going to look at those things and say, you know what, that's wrong. Jeffrey Epstein was wrong, right? If you don't say that, if there's room in your heart to say, well, man, I was thinking about it. He wasn't a bad guy. I want you to look in the eyes of the first child he destroyed and then tell me he wasn't a bad guy. That's all. Now go to the 100th million child, right? As we move forward in abortion and say, hey, sorry, you didn't get to live. Oh.
Especially when there's so many people who want babies.
Because I didn't want you to. That's enough for me. Oh my God. You better. You ever go to a smorgasbord and pay after the meal?
I've done that before.
When I was a kid, we used to go to a place called Sir George's, right? It was a smorgasbord. And you would walk in and they would charge you by your age, not by what you ate, but by your age, right? I thought it was kind of interesting. Okay, great. So later on, I saw places that would charge you after you ate. The people who ate the most would complain the most about not wanting to pay. I've always noticed that. Because they didn't like one thing, or they would say that to get out of paying the bill. I had a guy, I used to manage restaurants, and this guy comes in. He would always come in or try to come in a minute before closing at midnight. and he would be very obnoxious and rude. And I was always kind. Hey man, how you doing? Welcome in. He goes, you're not mad because we came in a minute before. I said, I don't care when you come in. I got work to do in back, so go ahead, order up. It feels good to me. So after I did that, he got very angry. I mean, really angry.
Yeah.
So there's about 12 of them or 10 of them in this group, and they're just, the kids are trying to tear stuff up and they're throwing things. And I'm just smiling, have the waitress go over, clean up, have the busboy, I'll go over and clean up. And he can't figure out why I'm being so nice. And I'm watching this guy and I'm saying, he's not going to pay for the meal. He wants to not pay for the meal. Got it. I could tell when I said, he doesn't want to pay for that. That's very interesting. We served everything. And he goes, excuse me, the salads weren't right, so we don't want to pay for the food. I said, well, your bill is 197 or 297. I forgot what the total was. It was almost about $300 for burgers or whatever it was. Restaurant was called Baker Square Restaurant. They were pie shops. Yeah. I was so ashamed of working there that I put on my name tag, Bakey, so no one would know it was me. Because I was in a lawsuit and I was losing a business and we're this and that. And like I lost my business. I ended up working at a restaurant. I gave him my shot. But listen, I'll collect the cans for a living. There's nothing anyone can say about me that I haven't already done, so I don't really care. You're a bum. Okay, I'm a bum. Have a nice day. Where does that change the conversation? So he says, I don't want to pay for the food. I said, tell you what I'm going to do, fat boy. I said, tell you what I'm going to do. I go, you're going to pay for your food, or you and I are going to have a personal problem that extends past this restaurant. How do you want to do this? Because your kids are watching. So he paid for the food. And I said, good. Okay. The next day, there's a phone call. I ripped my Jordache jeans on your booth. There's a nail hanging. Your restaurant owes me. It was kind of funny, the exact amount that his bill came to.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
We had a little conversation. I never heard anything else after it, but he called the restaurant, he called corporate, he called everyone he could about me. Everyone he could about me being this and that and the other. And I thought to myself, if they fired me, you're doing me a favor. I don't want to work at a place, right, where that's allowed. So I'm cool to go.
Right.
And someone said the other day, said, we're going to contact your sponsors on your website and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I'm like, okay, man, we need okay. I said, listen, if I have a sponsor or supporter who could be swayed by a person like you, I don't want them sponsoring I don't want them around me.
Right.
You're doing me a favor. You don't hurt me. Thank you for that. You're refining me. Thank you. That was probably the wrong sponsor for me anyway. Have a great day.
I love how people always like to have these threats. It's like,
well, again, smoke covered with soot.
Yeah.
Smoke. Turn a light on, punch it in the nose, find out what its origin is, and then go to their origin and see how things change.
Right.
I'm not ashamed to go into somebody's job. I'm just not. Hey, how you doing?
Right. Yeah.
I don't mind. I got a good day. I'm the guy who picketed Little Caesars. I'm not joking. I worked at Little Caesars for this group, and one guy goes, they were treating Americans horribly. This Persian guy who owned it. And he made a comment to me one day. I said, listen, I'll shut your restaurants down. He says, what? I said, watch and see. I wasn't kidding. I made one phone call. 50 people showed up on the corner of Rosemead Boulevard and Langdon in Rosemead and shut that place down. My phone started ringing instantly. Hey, can you make this stop? I said, I didn't make it start. You did.
Right.
You make it stop.
Right.
I'm just
People
a tool,
have to take,
bro.
Yeah.
Let's
you take accountability.
And I think if we all recognize that we have some power, you don't have to roll over because someone calls you a name. What's a name mean?
Exactly.
I used to pay a girl to call me names. Don't bother me.
But that's just it. It's like
I'm kidding.
Well, no, people need to claim their power, though. People need to step into who they are, and when they open themselves up to God, it's like things just really start happening, and that's so exciting.
Again, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm a holy roller or this or that, because most of those people are hypocrites. All I'm saying is this: thank you. No matter what you do, it benefits me. Have a great day. You don't bother me.
Yeah.
Please.
See, like I said, you're one of my favorite people, Del.
I got a sandwich waiting. What are you talking about?
Oh man, you are so awesome. Yeah, it's like, wow, it's already an hour. Where did time go? Where did the time go? Talking with you is always such a joy, and it's such a blessing. And I appreciate you so much.
And right back at you.
And,
you were the best movie wife I ever had.
Well, I hope we, could definitely work together. Working with you was so much fun. Oh my gosh. I mean, these were intense scenes,
Very
I'm going to
good.
tell you that was the highlight of my professional career, was that film. For my being a performer, not just a writer, director, or producer, but being in every one of those positions and allowing someone else to come in and direct or co-direct with me. And then we also took input from all the other people that were there. So it was kind of a funny thing. And when you think about it, who's producing feature films during COVID, right? Without going through, when I think about these people who made, like Tom Cruise, for instance, I heard that story about him yelling on the set. I understand, he's a producer. That could cost him, and he's employing all those people. And so people are like, you know, we're going to do this or do that. He's stuck. I don't have that pressure on me. We rented a couple of Airbnbs. You were here. We had a great time. We ate good food. We laughed. We talked, and then we worked our butts off until we got it done. And that's just what it was. But no one was sick on our set. No one got sick. It just because you got to be doing something else, and we're not doing that thing, you know.
Right. Yeah, and everyone was just so awesome. No one had an attitude, and very professional and talented. I mean, you know, Annabelle Monroe, Aaron Miracle, they're just amazing.
Aaron Miracle, I'm going to put it to you right now.
Yeah.
I don't ever project or give predictions because I'm not that good, but I do know talent. And Aaron Miracle, if she will do two things, which I told you already, she's going to be amazing. She's going to have a really, really strong career. Annabelle Monroe, beyond everything, is a partner and a friend in life, not just in movie, but to understand someone who can look at you and pick away everything that is not truth.
Yeah.
Wow. And then tell you about it with love.
That's what you do. You do that.
You know, I worked on a movie with her in 2020, and she would come to the set in the morning. I was actually staying at the house where the set was. And the first day she came in, she brought in a latte for me. And I was just getting out of bed, and I'm all groggy, you know, because I've been working until about 5 in the morning, and now it's 7, so I only have about 2 hours sleep. I'm kind of like groggy. And she says, okay, it's time to be appreciative. And she would sit down on the corner of the bed next to me, and then we would just show God appreciation for everything, including every breath we took. And that just changed so many things for me to understand that, you know, it's every second of every moment that you're with someone. And when you can love them from a distance, as we're trying to do at modernarmyofgod.com, the distance just doesn't seem so far.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem so far.
That's so beautiful. You are beautiful. You have a beautiful family.
As beautiful as you. And I do have a minor confession to make, because I am a man who has experienced lust in his heart. I'm not going to lie about it. During the shooting of the film, I saw you coming out of one of the bedrooms after you had changed.
Yeah.
And I jumped back behind the wall to check you out as you walked by. And one of the PAs looked up and said, do you know that your gut's hanging over the wall? She can see you. And I went, oh, darn, not again.
What gut? What gut are you talking about?
I get, oh, please.
No, you have no gut. What are you talking about?
I'm a big boy, huh? I used to be 180 pounds before life kicked in. That's okay now. I'm fine with it. It's who I am. I'm good.
But you're also what, 6'5", 6'6"?
6'4".
6'4". Okay, all right.
I play bigger than I am. Trust me. I play much bigger than I am.
No, it's awesome. And Old King Cole is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see it. I know people are just going to love it. I saw the trailer. Can I share the trailer?
That was just a teaser. Well, this is what's going to happen. I sent the teaser to some of the people in the cast, and I'm going to ask you guys if you just go in and when you post it, just tag 10 of your friends so they can see it, because I'm trying to get people to understand something about movies. Just because you don't have $1 million budget does not mean you should not shoot a film. And I preach all the time about get it done, how to make a movie and get it done. But nobody understands that I make roughly 1.5 to 2 movies every single year. I don't stop. I just keep, and I don't care about the circumstances. I was shooting a movie with an iPhone, and someone said, "Where's your real camera?" I said, "I lost it." Got into a fight with my partner. We decided to split up. He took all this equipment. I took this. So now I'm working on a cell phone. They're like, where's the lie? Where's the ego? I don't have an ego. Would you please be quiet behind the shot and get my lighting right? And they're like, you know, you have to just keep pushing. You don't stop.
Right. And that makes you a true artist. That makes you the Renaissance man. It's like people need to realize they don't need to have certain things to make things happen. You just do
Or as my mom's third boyfriend would say, I think that one's slow. It might just be that I'm slow. I don't know. What do I know?
You just do it.
You know,
and learn as you go.
Just do it. Just do it.
That's so awesome.
Hey,
well,
you're so amazing. I just want to take a second to thank you and to thank your brilliant daughter for her beautiful work. You know, I got that piece of work that she did and it inspired me. I've got a couple of editor friends and we're going to be working on that project together because I'm going to make it, how do I say it? I know that Annabelle's doing an art show this year because she did one last 2019. We missed 2020 for that. But you and a few other people that we know from AOF are going to be inviting to be part of this art show.
Thank you.
And we tested it because we did the first year, we did it at the Indie Factory during the festival. But now I think we're going to move it more toward the location that we have for the new, so everyone can experience.
Right.
And it's just going to be a good thing. But when I heard her spoken word and singing, I thought to myself, man, Mom did a solid job because this young lady has touched her creativity. And I have friends and other acquaintances who have not given their children what you gave yours, and their children are not doing as well. Even though they suffer in the same kind of a circumstance, your child is thriving in it, and I can see it through the creativity. And that's a direct result of having a mother that loves her. Because so many people are so selfish that they will not even have children. See, they won't even have them, and then they'll criticize yours or the way you raise yours when they were too selfish to extend past another life. Right? Take your crappy lifeline and try and extend it to someone else's to make it better. All we want is for our children to do better than we've done ourselves.
Yeah,
and when you don't have
happy,
kids, when you don't have kids, shut up. until you've raised a child from birth in your arms and stayed with them through the colds and the flus and the joys and the walking and the talking and learning and seeing, experiencing this world with love, you should really be quiet. And if I'm offending anyone with that statement,
get over it.
please, no, I would never say that. If I'm offending anyone with that statement, here's what I'd like to say to you. There are boxes on the corner of every street in America. I want you to write your complaint about me and then take it and drop it in one of those boxes on every street corner that you'll find. I'll end up getting it at one point. Don't worry.
All right. So I have a proud mama moment to share.
Let's hear it.
So Olivia has, written songs and she's recorded a few songs. Well, she wanted to do a Christmas song and we didn't get done in time for Christmas. So, she still want to do Christmas. And so she is calling the song Christmas Cheer Throughout the Year. And she recorded the vocals today. And she comes up with these lyrics that are just so profound and so full of love. And when she sings like with her whole body. And I'm just like so proud of her. And so I sent it over to Christopher Papas, who does the music for us. And I'm so excited about this.
How could you not be? That's what I'm saying. See,
it's a proud mama moment.
Well, do you understand that someone who would criticize that relationship who does not have children will never have that moment? I'm sorry for people who say horrible things about parents when they're not parents themselves, because I realize something. They're never going to know what it's like for a child to come into your arms and say, Mommy, Daddy, I love you.
Yeah.
They're never going to have it. They don't get it. And half the people out there with kids today, they're still never going to have that. They're not going to get it. And that's why there's horrible breakdowns in the nuclear family. We have to really do better. And I hope that Modern Army of God will give people a platform that they can just let their prayers be known and where they can support other people in their pursuit to be refined and to be a good offering for God. I can't make it any better than that.
I love that. That is so beautiful. So modernarmyofgod.com.
Now don't get mad if you hear about me and some girl in 84, because I definitely did it. I'm not gonna lie.
But you're not living in the past, Al. You're living in the moment of now.
Let me tell you something. I can see why Adam went for Eve after the fact. I know why he did. Women are something, man. They're beautiful. They're amazing. What choice did Adam have? Huh?
Yeah.
He loved, God gave him the greatest gift ever, and he loved it more than God. That's the only problem we ever had. He loved it more than God.
But when you got God first, it's all good. Anyway, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
What does it remind you of? What does it remind you of? You're about to say.
It reminds me of a story, a very short story. So
I love your
keep
story.
it tight. Back in the early 80s, there was a place called Pioneer Chicken. And now we have Church's Chicken and Popeyes and the Colonel, but the Pioneer Chicken was a West Coast franchise that I worked for a few minutes. And one day I walked in and there was a brother in there named Carlton. Hey, Carlton, how you doing, man? And Carlton was looking at his chicken. And he had just fried up this big basket of chicken because you do deep frying. And the one thing about Pioneer was they had a special practice by which they would wet the chicken, and then they would put a base on the chicken, and then they would put another flour on the chicken, and then they would put the dip that they would put on the sauce that they would do the fried in, the coating for the deep fry. So one day I'm standing there, and this guy is just staring at a plate of his chicken. And I said, man, what's up? He goes, isn't that the most beautiful chicken you've ever seen? And I stop for a second and I go, wow, it is. The color, the look, you just want to eat. I mean, it looks like art. And I thought to myself, if this man can see the perfection in a chicken wing, how much more perfection is there in us, right? To reflect and to shine.
Yeah.
And so many people are just stuck on that one little element. They can't see past that to the beauty that created it. And it just reminds me of all the waste we go through. We have to stop wasting. And it's not just resources or gas or money or this. It's our words, right? And it's our hatred. Don't waste your hatred. There'll be someone that hates soon. Trust me. You're going to find somebody. I know, not you, but these people will find somebody. But don't waste it. Put it toward evil, or put it toward injustice, or put it toward child molestation, or put it toward pedophilia, where you can actually solve and do something. Hate those things. Don't hate someone for being different than you. It just doesn't make any sense.
I agree. I'm so glad to know you. And I'm so glad to have you on the show. You inspired me to take this up again. So thank you.
I hope that you will understand that it is nice to have a gigantic audience and a platform of billions of people, but it is important that the right person hears your message, no matter what that message is. If it's good and strong and powerful, you only need to impact one person, because that person is going to have a ripple effect onto so many other lives. And I know that to be fact. So thank you for this opportunity to speak on your show. And I hope that the one person who hears this, who needs it most, gets it. And for those who don't need it, change the channel. God bless you. There's some Duck Dynasty on down the street. Have a good night.
That sounds great. So I will see you at AOF 2021.
ActionOnFilmFest.com. ActionOnFilmFest.com. You can check us out also at Modern Army of God and at thegiftedgroup.org. And if you really want to get deep and find out about what's going on with me, go to DellWeston.com.
Oh, I love it.
DellWeston.com, where you can see everything I'm doing.
All right. Sounds good. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Mama.
All right,
You're the best. Thank you.
Mwah. Talk to you soon.